Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video. In this video we are going to be looking at Priya, who is an S class character, and she is obviously going to be insane. And recently there was a post on the forum saying that S class characters were getting buffed because apparently they needed it. This reminds me a lot of the 5-star to 6-star era, when 6-star characters first came into the game. Supposedly a lot of people wanted 6 stars to get buffed. I'm guessing there's a lot of people who wanted S-class characters to get buffed apparently as well. It's obviously exactly the same situation which we faced from 5 to 6 stars, now 6 stars to S7 stars, and with the 7 class, S-class characters coming out with a massive stat boost of over 10,000 total stats. Over 10,000, this is over twice the amount of a Generation 1 6-star. Generation 1 6-stars are just going to get plucked out of the sky. Like, not even going to be funny. This character has got base stats of 4.4k attack. You can easily get another 2,500 damage with mods and weapon bonuses and leader skills. This character is legitimately going to have 7,000 attack stat, like plus. It's going to be insane. We'll go over Priya here. We'll go over her. 4,464 attack. I never thought I'd have to say these sort of numbers. 3,065 defense. So she's got the highest defense in the game as a damage dealer. Oh god. 3,227 HP. She can be maxed out at level 150, as there have been some changes to S-class characters which I'll look into at the end of this video, but we're going to go over Priya first. She is tough trait. Her role is damage. Really? Her role's damage with 4,464 attack. I just wouldn't have guessed. But look at her adrenaline rush. It's called Bombarding Muddle. It has a 76 AP cost, deal 3 attacks of 275% damage, 325% total to one enemy, confuse and impair for 3 turns to a line of enemies. So if you're unaware, each of those 3 attacks will act separately. So if the first attack kills somebody, she'll go to the next enemy. If that kills somebody, she'll go to the next enemy. And basically with her power, she's most likely going to do that. I mean, I'm doing that with really strong Generation 1 characters. This character is twice as strong, twice the attack stat as those characters are going to have. She's going to be absolutely destroying people. Not even close. It's not even going to be... Like, this is really reduced the skill ceiling, even more so in Road to Survival than it ever has been. Really sad, but what can you do? Active skill, remove positive effects. And this is probably the worst part of the character, if I'm honest, which is great. It's good that there's actually an actual trash part of the character. Initial cooldown of 3 turns. Remove all positive status effects from a line of enemies. Now, my guess here is it's just so that you don't do your active skill and you can just hit the auto button, as they're just basically bringing back auto raiding, which was pretty much in the game already. The difference between, you know, free to play and pay to win characters already is immense. So I guess they're just trying to bring out a high tier pay to win characters and like sort of mid to low tier pay to win characters. Now this character is going to go round with basic attacks, just one-shotting payback Negans. Obviously there's no payback with basic attacks, so she's just going to run riot, have no problem at all. She is a leader, of course, and she's probably going to be on a leader as on any team she's going to be on. She'll probably be on a defense team lead, if I'm honest, because it's going to be really hard to take her down with that sort of defense stat. All ranged teammates get 50% attack and a huge bonus to AP when attacking. She's going to be immense. She's going to be one-shotting any attacking character if she's on a defending team. She's going to be basically one-shotting any defensive character on a defending team as well, pretty much. 50% bonus attack, so that's 4,400 goes instantly to 6,600 base attack. Already immense. Then she'll get a 40% bonus, no doubt, from her weapon. Her weapon does start at 30% attack, but you can upgrade that to 40% attack, no doubt. Huge AP on attack as well, obviously, because you want to be getting that rush off, turn 3. If you took a command, you could get it off turn 2. If they've not got bide, even if they've got bide, she's going to one-shot bide characters, but if they've not got payback, you have no risk of rushing. The third slot, it says when attacking, 100% chance to daze for 4 turns when your HP is more than 60%. And daze is a new special on weapons and will probably come into rushes that blocks active skills. I don't see this being super powerful at the moment. I know there are some active skills which are quite annoying, but obviously Priya's not really going to need this. You could probably change this to double attack for the time being until S-Class become a bit more, usual, because in the meantime, she's one-shotting characters anyway. With double attack, she's most likely guaranteed to one-shot any character in the game. I don't see, even S-Class Pete, I don't think will really stand much of a chance against Priya with a double attack weapon, if I'm honest. And if she has a double attack weapon, each of those separate attacks can obviously double attack on her rush, so her damage output will just be uncomparable to anyone else in the game. She is completely uncomparable to anyone else in the game. She instantly is released as the strongest character to ever exist in Road to Survival, with over 10,000 base stats. We're looking at 10,600, 10,700 base stats, which is insane, It's double what any other character within Gen 2 even has, pretty much. Gen 2, I think, is 5,300. So 10,600, 10,700 is double that, obviously. So that's S-Class Priya. However, there has been a post on the forums that's tried to clear up their aims with S-Class. So we're going to go through this post as well. And as it says, S-Class Fighter Updates. Greetings, survivors. As we look forward the future of Road to Survival and what the fighter landscape looks like, we have thought a lot about the new S-Class archetype and how the fighter class fits into the complex meta system that currently exists in the game. While the S-Class system doesn't fit into the current meta of the game, it completely wipes it out. I mean, let's be honest here, it doesn't fit in the game at all. So it's creating a new tier and it's making the rest of the game actually pointless. Don't make out that it's crafting some archetype to slip into the game. You're not. You're literally crafting something to just stomp the rest of the game. That is what's happening. While S-Class fighters are clearly intended to be some of the strongest characters available, yeah, no doubt, we believe that there are still additional improvements we can make to how the S-Class fighter works and also improve the methods in which players obtain them. With that said, we are making some important changes to how 6-star S-Class fighters function and are obtained. When developing these changes, we had 3 clear goals in mind. Number 1, allow all players a direct path to obtaining the newer 6-star S-Class fighters and their 5-star ascendable versions through gameplay rewards and other incentives. Improve the lasting value and depth of S-Class fighters. Well, I mean, the lasting value is they've got twice as much stats as anybody else. They could literally have no rush, no leader skill, nothing, and they'd instantly be the best character in the game just because pure stat wise they can one-shot everything. So in terms of their long-lasting value, you got that one. Okay, making S-Class collectibles and characters essential and long-lasting gameplay incentive. You mean what everyone's going to want? Yeah, no doubt everyone wants to have that character that can one-shot everybody. I've got no doubt. S-Class fighters are going to be powerful leaders and specialized characters. They will retain their relevance in the combat experience and are a great reward for those who would invest time and skill in their acquisition. Now, you see this bit, I don't know how much you can believe this part. They will retain their relevance in the combat experience and are a great reward for those who would invest time and skill in their acquisition. Surely that was what the characters we've got now should have been doing, but I mean, they have got no relevance now with S-Class coming out. What's next after S-Class? Because I could screenshot this, and the second anything comes out that stomps on S-Class, you're going back on what you've said here, which is you're going to go back on what's been said here. Eventually, there's going to be something else after S-Class to stomp on S-Class. It's just, that's the way the creep is going, basically. So, what are the changes? How are things going to work moving forward? Read on for details. How do I obtain S-Class fighters? The new S-Class distribution system will allow all players to obtain the necessary collectible items to acquire all 6-star S-Class fighters and their associated 5-star ascendable version solely from gameplay methods if they choose to do so. We understand how important it is for players at all levels to be competitive, and we've heard players' feedback on this point. We believe that this new distribution model is one area that will help give all players powerful fighters in the future. 6-star S-Class fighters and their 5-star ascendable versions are now obtained exclusively through museum collections. To acquire each version of the fighter you will need. To acquire the 5-star ascendable version you'll need 4,000 character specific collectible items. To acquire the 6-star S-Class version you'll require 2 times maxed out 6-star versions of the character, so obviously you'll need to get the 2 ascendables, max them out, and you'll also need 2,000 extra character specific collectible items, so you'll need 10,000 of the specific items to be able to get an S-Class character. As noted above, every S-Class character will have unique collectible items that are required to obtain a 5-star Ascendable and 6-star S-Class versions. Collectibles for all S-Class fighters will be available throughout the game in the following areas: rewards for engaging in roadmaps and tournaments, war crates, museum collections, recruits and rewards, offers in the shop, mystery bags, Survivors Club exclusives. A couple of important notes on the collectible items referenced above. All collectible items upon release will be persistently available and will not expire. At the initial release of every new S-Class fighter, there may be a window of exclusivity where collectibles for that new fighter are only in Premier Recruits. Once the exclusive window ends, the collectibles will become available through all other channels listed above. You see, I question this because this has never been done before, and rather than doing this with older stuff first to prove that this is something that you're trying to do, you're saying you're going to do this with future stuff when this has never been a thing. So I'll believe this when I see it. You know, I'll compare this to quite an obvious situation in 6-star Tara in Faction Assault, where she was very accessible. Everyone could do Faction Assault, and legitimately, we're talking 2 years later, I haven't got her in one of my regions, and I've done Faction Assault a lot of times. So characters like this in 2 years, who knows the viability? I mean, Tara is absolutely useless now, but who knows the viability of S-Class characters in 2 years? Most likely not very good, let's be honest, because the next tier will most likely have already come out. S-Class characters will be given out quite freely because they'll be absolutely terrible, because they're going to be getting stomped on like Generation 1 characters are right now. Can sort of see why the 5-star wheel was updated with some pretty decent characters, because they are pretty useless now, aren't they? What changes are coming to 6-star S-Class fighters? In order to achieve the goal of giving S-Class fighters more lasting value and depth, we're making the following changes to the S-Class archetype moving forward. Some of the wording here is like, I wonder if someone's laughing while they're typing this or if they're actually deadly serious. 6-star S-Class fighters are getting an additional boost to base stats. Yeah, that's definitely lasting value and depth. That reduces depth of the game. It doesn't increase the depth of the game, it reduces it. It means that S-Class characters are pretty much it. Everything else, like I've already said, same thing that happened when 6 stars got released and buffed. All 5 stars became irrelevant. S-Class characters get released, it's very powerful. Now you buff their stats to 10,000 from whatever it was, 6,000, 700, 7,000. All 6-star characters going to be irrelevant. So fantastic. 6-star S-Class fighters will now have a level cap of 150 instead of the standard level 90 cap of standard 6-star fighters. There will still be 4 evolution tiers of 6-star S-Class fighters with the following progression: Tier 1 level 1 to 90, Tier 2 level 1 to 110, Tier 3 level 1 to 130, and Tier 4 level 1 to 150. So obviously this is to account for the extra stat boost that all of these characters are going to have in S-Class. In the fourth part, it says, given the changes to the leveling system, S-Class fighters will require additional gear and resources to level up and evolve. So whether this is unique gear or not, it doesn't say, but it could just be more of the same. S-Class characters originally needed twice the amount of gear to go from tier to tier than normal 6-star Generation 1 and Generation 2 characters did. Whether it needs more than that now, they're not really being too specific. This little sentence here is very vague. And the last bit on notes on Pete Anderson, it says the stat boost will apply retroactively to S-Class Pete Anderson. So Pete Anderson is going to be getting a buff. So it runs in the family. Jesse Anderson gets a buff, Pete Anderson gets a buff. There might be a slight delay, up to 24 hours, in S-Class Pete Anderson's base stats changing once these updates go live on August the 15th. Once the update has been fully delivered to all realms, players should see the stats changes. Lastly, it says the new S-Class level cap and tier evolution system will retroactively apply to S-Class Pete Anderson. For those players with S-Class Pete Anderson, your level tier progress will carry over into the new system. So for example, if you have a maxed out S-Class Pete Anderson, tier 4, level 90, You will now have a tier 4 level 90 S Class Pete Anderson. You'll only have the additional 60 levels to go before maxing it out to level 150. So that was the end of that post. We of course have Priya here. S Class Pete Anderson is probably going to have around the same sort of stats in terms of 10,000 calculated together. These stats are without veteran rings as well, so there's going to be probably another 10% increase. We're probably going to see it go up to 11,000, maybe even 12,000 with veteran rings. It's going to be obviously insane, and I'm not really sure how the wider player base are meant to deal with this, because this character again will be used on defense teams 100%, and I guess the idea is we have to start running Reflect to have any chance of killing this character, because 3,000 defense alone is insane. That's actually a lot of defense just to actually take down a character, but the amount of attack this character is going to have is just immense, absolutely immense, and kind of lost for words, honestly. You normally have the next tier go into free to play first, kind of like how 6-star had, so at least there's some accessibility, some sort of baseline, but it doesn't seem to be having S Class at all, and it's a shame. I don't think anyone really wanted a stat boost, but I guess they seem to think it was required to add depth to the game and the longevity of S Class characters. S Class characters had longevity as long as they had bigger stats, which they had initially, which was over 7,000. It doesn't add depth to the game now. It doesn't add skill to the game. This game has become less and less about skill and just more and more about how much money you drop over the last, I'd say, 6 months to a year. It's got to the most terrible situation we can imagine, and here's Priya, timed very well just before the TOC last weekend, which kind of makes TOC even more of a joke than it originally was, because it isn't going to be about which region can get together and do the best. It's just which regions has got the most Priyas, which regions have got the most Pete Andersons, and again it just massively reduces the enjoyment, competitiveness. There's no ability in this game to be the best. It's literally just who spends the most, and that is like I say, pretty sad. But hey, we can still enjoy the game for what it is, or for however long it lasts. But that's the end of my video, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Do tell me what you think about Priya, but I mean, what's to say? What is to say? And as always, guys, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.